back to Thundersport GB at Mallory Park. It's the LMB Steetfighters up next in the blazing sunshine. Lovely to be able to say that. And a gap, of course, on pole position. We should have had Barry Outing, who unfortunately just gave himself a little bit of concussion when he fell off in the earlier race. We wish him well, of course, but it leaves Keith Smith on effective pole position with Brad Davey and Sean Goldsmith alongside him. So Brad Davey, the leading Street Fighter C runner, there on the front row of the grid in between the two Street Fighter A men, Keith Smith and Sean Goldsmith. Mick Riddle, the leading Street Fighter B runner, is on the green Kawasaki on the inside of that second row, and away they go. What a start for the MV Augusta of Sean Goldsmith this time, Steve.
Yeah, he manages to get that road bike of his away from the line very well, and Chris Dixon looked like he just managed to get up ahead of Keith Smith into turn one also. So let's have a look at them now as they make their way up towards the S's, and it is number 52, Sean Goldsmith, that leads from 64, Chris Dixon. Then it's Keith Smith, Mick Riddle just behind, and then Brad Davey leading the Street Fighter Cs.
And, in second place, Chris Dixon, the newcomer of the series. He really does get off that big bike, doesn't he, Steve? He shifts himself around in the saddle and looks very proficient indeed. And Tony Hughes getting away much better in the second of their races, and there he is in sixth place, working hard to catch there, number 14, Brad Davey. So there's Tony Hughes, Mr. Punch, in sixth place overall, but second in Street Fighter C.
Yes, Mr. Punch then in second just behind Brad Davey, and he'll be looking to maintain the decent advantage that he's got in the Street Fighter C Championship overall. In the Street Fighter A's though, Keith Smith here got a little bit on. He's trying to keep up with Sean Goldsmith, the man with the biggest smile in the paddock. Number 52 as they make their way into... Oh, and he's gone straight on there at Shaw's hairpin. Easy to do.
I bet you he's still smiling. Oh, and dear, Tony Hughes, he comes back on the track in front of Mr. Punch, and he nearly gives him a Judy, but there we are. They're still both on board. Yes, it's Sean Dencher's Goldsmith that went a bit AWOL there, but he will be back on the MV. There he is, going through Gerard's, a little bit chastened, but out the front, Smithy has got a bit of a problem, hasn't he, Steve? Because he is riding the back legs of this glorious Aprilia, but Chris Dixon just won't go away, will he?
No, he won't, and well, you know, he's still leading the championship by enough, because Andy Denyer, the Meerkat, not here this weekend. He's off doing a 24-hour cycle race. He either does that or he's into triathlons and all sorts of things.
It's all a bit worrying, isn't it? Goodness me, 24 hours on a bicycle, you'd be like John Wayne walking a pair of Whit Levi's. Yeah, Chris Dixon in second place in that rookie vest, still keeping the pressure on Keith Smith, but himself coming under a little pressure from Mick Riddle. Mick Riddle, the leading Street Fighter B runner with the absence of Barry Outing.
Yeah, Mick Riddle doing a good job there in third position overall to be up with them, but an even better job there being done by Brad Davey, number 14, just ahead of Sean Goldsmith, who have had his little off-circuit venture a little while ago. And there's Tony Hughes, who was last season's runner-up to Sean Goldsmith, so he'll probably want a little bit of revenge, and Goldsmith, I think, has just made the move to go up to fourth place overall.
Smithy there, just being chased by Chris Dixon, who ran a little wide on the exit of Ed Wieners. They come up through the John Cooper S's. Chris Dixon carries an awful lot of speed up the hill and into Shaw's. Again, he runs a little wide, seems to wash out on the exit, and everything that he gained on that run up the hill, he appears to lose. Now then, this is the next gaggle. Duncan McMillan there ahead of Gary Coombs. This is the real bun fight in Street Fighter C behind Brad Davey and Tony Hughes, and there's at least four of them in there with a genuine shout of the third podium place in Street Fighter C. He's up the front once again. I think Chris Dixon a little bit closer to Smithy.
Yeah, Smithy's going to find out just how close Dixon is in a moment, because just like race one, Dixon in the latter stages of this race all over him, and fancied a look there into Ed Wieners. Didn't quite work this time around, but maybe it was a rehearsal for the next time.
Yeah, Mick Riddle once again closing up over the lap there as they went through Ed Wieners. You can see him there just off the back of Chris Dixon, so he could be in the shout at the end of this as well. Smithy, though, leads and leads Street Fighter A. Brad Davey is in 4th place at the moment, leading Street Fighter C. Mick Riddle, though, up in 3rd, leading Street Fighter B. Look at this, McMillan and Coombs absolutely together.
Nearly a rear tyre and front tyre tangle there into Shaw's hairpin. Sean Goldsmith's making rapid progress. He's got past Brad Davey, and he is actually catching Mick Riddle. And look at this, Dixon's up ahead of Keith Smith.
Excellent stuff. What a manoeuvre there. And Smithy will come back at him. He won't like this, and Smithy could do the outbreaking into Edwina's, but look at the line that Chris Dixon's got. Well, he just manages to keep his front wheel that time out of the backpack of Keith Smith. Smithy back to the front, but he knows he's got a real fight in his hands. He'll be loving this, actually, Smithy. He does like a good old tussle on the track as well, doesn't he?
No, he does, and he seems to have pulled the pin a little bit there upon knowing of Chris Dixon's whereabouts. Look at this lot, though. The Street Fighter Cs, the Supermotos. Once again, McMillan and Coombs toe-to-toe into Shaw's hairpin.
Yeah, that's Mick Everett too, who's riding right with him. He's in Street Fighter C as well, and he'd like to get his face in amongst them. But up the front, once again, Dixon ahead of Smith, but they've got a bit of lapping to do. Chances will be going begging, I'm sure, but there won't be too many more as the last lap flag is shown. Right, this is it. Oh, look at that. Chris Dixon just getting the better of the back marker, opens up half a dozen bike lengths over Keith Smith that time.
Yes, could be a lovely race victory here on the cards for Chris Dixon once again. He's managed to get past Smithy, and there's going to be no catching him now. Smithy's not going to have enough in the tank to get to the line ahead of him.
Yep, Smithy, well, he's going to have, I think, consolation. It'll be the fastest lap for Keith Smith, but it's a win and the checker flag for Chris Dixon. Now, yes, he'll have that. Thank you very much. He loves every bit of it, and I have to say he's thoroughly deserved it. Sean Goldsmith crosses in 3rd, and is 3rd in Street Fighter A. Mick Riddle is 4th and wins Street Fighter B. And Mr. Punch, Tony Hughes, gets up to 5th and wins Street Fighter C ahead of Brad Davey. And there we see Street Fighter A, Chris Dixon, Keith Smith, and Sean Goldsmith. There's the standings. Well, Smithy still leads it by a handsome margin from Steve Bradbury, Sean Goldsmith, Andy Denny, Chris Dixon, and Gary Cook. And on the Street Fighter B podium, well, Mick Riddle won that. Rob Pragnell was 2nd. Barry Rudge was 3rd. In their standings, Barry Hutting couldn't take part, unfortunately, but he still leads from Barry Rudge, Rob Norman, Rob Pragnell, Mick Riddle, and Mark Lum. And in Street Fighter C, the cheerful chappies, there they are. Tony Hughes, the winner. Brad Davey 2nd, Duncan McMillan 3rd. In their points, well, Tony Hughes, again, just shades it from Brad Davey and Duncan McMillan, ahead of Keith Warren, Mick Everett, and Gary Coombs.
Winner of Street Fighter C, Tony Hughes. Brad Davey's been close to you this weekend. There's been some great battles out there.
Yeah, that's what I've been wanting, really. I mean, I don't like riding off on my own. And hi, Duncan. Yeah, I don't like riding off on my own. And I know that a lot of these Street Fighters don't. That's why we want more in there. But since this weekend everyone's been so equal. Great racing from all the lads in the Street Fighters, in the Street Fighter C's, sorry. All the Supermoto lads have been all really on the game on this weekend. So I'm finding it harder now, and I'm enjoying it more. And that's what I want. And I'd just like to say something that I have never said, and that's I'd like to say a thank you. I'd like to say thank you to my girlfriend Susan, because she stands here and looks after me every single meeting, and I think she's the only one that does give me a lot of help, you know, like right through everything. So I'd just like to say that. Thanks a lot.